There's a strange kind of loneliness that nobody talks about. It doesn't come from being rejected. It doesn't come from being ignored. It comes from waking up one day and realizing that you're becoming the exact opposite of the person everyone thought you would be. Maybe you've felt it. You were the smart kid, the one teachers praised, the one relatives pointed to and said, "This one is going to do something big." For years, the future seemed obvious. Then something happened. The older you got, the less clear everything became. Now you're staring at dozens of possibilities, and somehow that feels worse than having none at all. Meanwhile, people who seemed less talented, less capable, even less ambitious, appear to be moving forward while you're still trying to figure out your next step. And that raises an uncomfortable question. If intelligence is such an advantage, why do so many intelligent people feel completely lost? The answer has very little to do with intelligence itself, and everything to do with what intelligence allows you to see. Chapter 1. The promise every society tells a similar story. Work hard, get good grades, be smart, success will follow. Simple, predictable, almost comforting. For generations, intelligence has been treated like a golden ticket, a reliable predictor of achievement, happiness, and fulfillment. And at first, the evidence seems convincing. High grades often lead to prestigious universities. Prestigious universities often open doors to respected careers. On paper, the formula appears flawless. But real life doesn't happen on paper. It unfolds in uncertainty. And uncertainty changes everything. Researchers who followed gifted children into adulthood discovered something surprising. While many achieved professional success, a significant number struggled with anxiety, indecision, dissatisfaction, and a persistent feeling that they weren't living up to their potential. Not because they lacked ability, because ability wasn't the problem. Something else was happening beneath the surface, something far more complicated. Chapter 2. The Curse of Possibility. Imagine standing in front of a vending machine. There are 3 drinks. You choose one. No problem. Now imagine standing in front of a machine with 10,000 options. Suddenly, choosing becomes stressful. What if another option is better? What if you're missing something? What if this decision changes everything? This is how many intelligent people experience life, not because they're weak, because they naturally see more possibilities than most people. Every career becomes 20 careers. Every decision branches into hundreds of imagined futures. Every opportunity contains hidden risks. The average person might see a road. The highly analytical mind sees an entire map. At first, that sounds like a gift. And sometimes it is. But gifts often come with shadows, because the ability to imagine many futures also means carrying the burden of choosing among them. And when every option has advantages and disadvantages, certainty becomes almost impossible. So they keep researching, keep planning, keep preparing, convinced that one more insight will finally reveal the perfect answer. It rarely does. Chapter 3. The Prison of Potential. There's another trap waiting. It's called potential. As children, intelligent people hear the same message repeatedly. You can be anything. Sounds encouraging. But hidden inside those 4 words is a tremendous amount of pressure. Because if you can be anything, how do you choose one thing? Every path abandoned feels like wasted potential. Every opportunity missed feels like failure. Every ordinary outcome feels somehow insufficient. Over time, potential stops feeling like freedom. It starts feeling like a debt that must be repaid. And that debt follows them everywhere. Into careers, relationships, businesses, creative pursuits. No matter what they achieve, another voice whispers, "You could have done more." And that's a dangerous voice to live with. Because no achievement can satisfy expectations that have no finish line. Chapter 4. When thinking becomes a trap, most people believe intelligent individuals solve problems better. That's true. What people rarely discuss is that they also create more problems to solve. The human brain evolved to identify threats. Intelligent minds often take this ability to extraordinary levels. They analyze, predict, evaluate, question, then they analyze the analysis. A simple decision becomes an investigation. A small uncertainty becomes a philosophical dilemma. Before long, they're trapped inside an endless conversation with themselves, not because they're confused, because they're trying to eliminate uncertainty from a world built on uncertainty. And that's a game nobody wins. Not even the smartest people who ever lived. History is filled with brilliant minds who wrestled with doubt. Scientists questioned their discoveries. Writers questioned their purpose. Philosophers questioned existence itself. Knowledge didn't remove uncertainty. In many cases, it amplified it. Because the more they learned, the more they realized how much remained unknown. Chapter 5, The Modern World Makes It Worse. 100 years ago, comparison had limits. Today, it doesn't. Open your phone. Within seconds, you're exposed to entrepreneurs making millions, creators building empires, experts dominating their fields, people younger than you, people richer than you, people seemingly further ahead. The intelligent brain immediately begins calculating, comparing, measuring, evaluating, and without realizing it, many intelligent people develop a distorted picture of reality. They compare their unfinished lives to everyone else's highlight reel. They compare their doubts to other people's confidence, their behind-the-scenes footage to someone else's movie trailer. And because they're highly self-aware, they often judge themselves more harshly than anyone else ever could. Have you noticed this in your own life? It's a question worth thinking about, because awareness of the problem is often the first step toward escaping it. The truth nobody expects. For years, many intelligent people search for clarity. They believe the next book will provide it, the next mentor, the next insight, the next breakthrough. But eventually, a realization begins to emerge. A realization so simple that it almost feels disappointing. The purpose of life is not discovered the way you discover a hidden treasure. It's created. Meaning isn't waiting somewhere in the future. It grows from action, from commitment, from participation. The irony is almost cruel. The answer intelligent people spend years trying to think their way toward cannot be reached through thinking alone. It must be lived. The entrepreneur finds purpose by building. The artist finds purpose by creating. The teacher finds purpose by teaching. Not before. After, meaning follows engagement, not the other way around. And once that becomes clear, something remarkable happens. The pressure begins to lift. Because suddenly, life no longer requires the perfect choice, only a choice. Conclusion, perhaps intelligent people feel lost because they can see what many others spend their lives avoiding. They see complexity, uncertainty, contradictions, the absence of guaranteed answers. For a while, that awareness feels like a burden, but eventually it becomes freedom. Because when you stop waiting for certainty, you become free to move. When you stop searching for the perfect path, you become free to create one. And maybe that's the real lesson. Being lost isn't evidence that you're failing. It might simply mean you've reached the point where maps no longer work. The point where nobody can tell you exactly who to become. The point where the only way forward is forward. So perhaps the question isn't, what is my purpose? Perhaps the better question is, what am I willing to dedicate my life to, even before I have all the answers? Because in the end, the people who find meaning aren't usually the ones who figured everything out. They're the ones who kept walking, despite not knowing. And maybe that's what wisdom really looks like.